What's going on, Falcon fan? This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So today, guys, we're gonna talk about this Atlanta Falcons regime under Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris. And should the Atlanta Falcons try to run it back next year? That would be the question. A lot of conversation going on right now. Obviously, we know that Raheem Morris is definitely on the hot seat, but we also have to answer the question about Terry Fontenot as well. He's somebody that's been here for since the Arthur Smith era, and the question is should he be out the door as well? That's the question we need to ask ourselves today. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to break it down. I'm not going to lump Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot together, but however, they kind of together in a sense, right? Some of the moves they made over the last two seasons, some are good and some are bad. We're going to talk about all those, but um, the breakdown today definitely is going to be about Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, what's going on in the wide receiver room for the Atlanta Falcons with all these tweets from Ray McLeod, from Cardell Hodge, to Chris Blair. We're going to talk about that because I think that move, getting rid of Ray McLeod after we, getting rid of getting a wide receiver coach, and then a couple of weeks later getting rid of Ray McLeod. I think it all encapsulates this season in itself. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then at the end of the day, um, should the Atlanta Falcons just consider rebuild, right? Would that fix the woes that Atlanta Falcons been stagnant for the last 8 years, where the Atlanta Falcons have not made the playoffs? So guys, we're going to talk about all that today. If you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here that talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people go here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So, the first thing we're gonna do today is talk about Terry Fontenot, right? And so when we talk about Terry Fontenot, like I said, he came here when the Atlanta Falcons actually was probably at the lowest, right? It was right during the COVID year. He got here in 2021. The salary cap was not good. It was not good at all, right? Him and Archie Smith came in, and they made some controversial moves, just to say the least, right? First, they get rid of one of the greatest Atlanta Falcons of all, in Julio Jones, um, and to the point to now, when you look at Julio Jones, is where he does not actually want to have anything to do with Atlanta Falcons. Hopefully, in time, he comes back to the fold. We know he put his retirement, but he definitely should retire as a Falcon. Sorry that my connectivity keep going in and out. So just be on. They started with that. They got rid of some big contracts at that time. Some big contracts, and they decided to keep Grady, of course. At the time, they decided to keep Matt Ryan as well. We know further later, a year later or two, they got rid of Matt Ryan. So we'll definitely talk about that. We talk about Terry Fontenot, but you know, we got to talk about the salary cap. So right, that season under Terry Fontenot, they had to pretty much put a makeshift team together, right? Um, and they was actually miraculously won 7 games. Had no money at all on the cap, things like that. Came in second year and was able to add some people. Um, we still had quarterback issues. And so this is where you start to look at some of the decisions Terry Fontenot made. Of course, he made it, in co-op with the head coach, right? Arthur Smith at the time. They bring in Desmond Ritter. They bring in Marcus Mariota. They decide to get rid of Matt Ryan. We all know the Deshaun Watson saga, um, trying to go after him, which definitely probably would have been Atlanta Falcon if the Cleveland Browns went and gave him $230 million, $30 million guaranteed. All right, that's just the bottom line. I think he was going to be a Falcon until that happened. So look on the bright side, that fell through, but it ostracized our starting quarterback, who has been our quarterback for 14 years here, um, arguably the best Atlanta Falcons ever played, in Matt Ryan, right? Um, they shipped him out to Indianapolis. We get a third round pick out of it, and that's where we started our quarterback moves, right? So that decision by Terry Fontenot, um, and you can look back at it and say, was it a good decision, wrong decision? We won't we'll never really know now. Obviously, if you look at the success that the Atlanta Falcons have had since that time, I guess we'll say no, especially when you look at the quarterback play. The quarterback play has not been good. Um, Definitely, last year and some dispersed this year, we have seen some flashes of good quarterback play, but when we initially let Matt Ryan go, Desmond Ritter, Marcus Mariota, um, Taylor Heineke, none of those quarterbacks played well enough for the Atlanta Falcons to win. It's just simply as that, and that's the decision for Terry Fontenot. Um, so you have to look at that. Now he has not been in the playoff contention, um, since he been the GM for the Atlanta Falcons, right? So that has to weigh on the decision for him to stay or go. That has to be a decision where to go. However, you look at some of the moves Terry Fontenot have made, right, and you you have to be impressed with some of the moves, right? You look at a guy like Jesse Bates coming in. Um, this last two drafts that Terry Fontenot had, we know him and Raheem Morris have really had two solid good drafts. In Raheem Morris' term here, so you have to like that. Of course, we always going to question, picking all the offensive players, in the number 8 pick back to back season. Now looking at it, going to get Kyle Pitts at number 4, when Jamar Chase was on the table, Marco Parsons was out there, so many guys. Hindsight 2020. Now you can say that was not a good pick, right? We passed on Justin Fields, at that position as well. It could have been a quarterback that we had here, hometown kid. Um, but I guess looking back at his career now, maybe that was a good decision. But those are some of the things you have to look at with Terry Fontenot. Um, Over the last couple of years, like I stated, he has had really good success in the draft. Right, the last two drafts he knocked it out of the park. Um, all these guys that that's on the team right now, you're not going to be 100%. We have had some guys that that's out the door, but if you look at guys like Zach Harrison, of course, all our first round picks, like I said, besides Kyle Pitts, who showed flashes, but still has not lived up to the number 4 overall pick. Um, but you look at guys like Brandon Daughters, look at guys like Zach Harris. Of course, our two secondary picks we got this year, both of those guys, unfortunately, what had to happen with Billy Bowman, but I think Xavier Watson is going to really be a good player in this league. Of course, we finally seen like we fixed the pass rush with with those guys as well. Armor Abikadi is another guy. It had who not really have not played bad, but I guess being a second round pick, not really lived up to the means. Of course, Troy Anderson was a miss, right? So it is some misses. Now I'm not saying that he's batting 100, but if you look at the young core that Terry Fontenot have put together, you have to like what you see, right? Of course, you look at guys like Tyler Algier, B. John Robinson, Drake London. Like I said, those guys are you can't complain about those. Go Matthew Bergeron, right? That's on the offensive side of the ball. Um, Skill positions, Vice. Vice Bijan and Drake, right? Not so well. The receivers, some of the receivers we drafted in later rounds had not panned out. Looked like Casey Washington. You thought he was going to go, but he definitely have fell out of favor. We're going to talk about the receiver room later on here, and try to figure out what's going on with that receiver room. But the thing is about Terry Fontenot, and you can look at what Dr. Blank did with Thomas Dimitrov, right? He was here for a while, when they went through coaching changes and things like that. And the question is, for Arthur Blank, will he tie these two together? Now, it could be, right, because you look at what the decision they made last year, right? Paying quarterback $180 million, right? $100 million guaranteed. Of course, Arthur Blank had to sign off on that, right? But then doubling down and going to get Michael Penix Jr., a young quarterback, who has so much talent, but did have, extensive injury history in college, and you pick him number 8th overall. So, and now we look at the situation where he just tore his ACL. Don't know the timeline when he's going to be back on the field. So that decision weighs a lot. I'm sure that Raheem and Terry, going in and trying to solidify the quarterback position. It just that has not worked out for him. It's no other way around it, no other way to look at it. It has not worked out to where they wanted to do to fix the quarterback room. So that's definitely has not been good. Let's see one of the comments here. What's going on, Rakunda? It's been a tough season. Rebuild from the bottom up, clean house from the front office to the coaching. But I say keep Terry because he's produced in the draft, and that's where we're at right now. That's definitely where we're talking about right now. You talk about Terry Fontenot and being able to look at what he's done, right, from a team building standpoint. The draft, he's knocked out of the park. He has missed. You always gonna have misses in draft, right? But you look at now first round draft picks, you would say a okay, but though you should hit on your first round draft picks. Let's just say that you should hit on your first round draft picks. Um, the second round draft picks, not so much, right? Besides Matthew Bergeron, you look at Richie Grant, you look at like I said, Armor Katie, not really. Troy Anderson, not really. So some guys definitely missing second round, first round really good, second round not missing, but those later rounds, kind of think he did a really good job. Like I said, the guys like Zach Harrison, Billy Bowman, Brandon Dorless. We haven't even seen Braylon Trice yet. We don't know what he's going to actually pan out to be, but you know, definitely a guy that could make some noise that they probably gonna have to utilize here in the future. You know, because you're gonna lose a guy like Armor Katie. Leonard Ford, the guy that was on one year deal, he might be out the door. So those are some of the things you got to look at. So I like their philosophies, how they try to build a team. So the question going to be, is Arthur Blank going to see it the way we see it and feel like, the coaching staff is separate than, the front office. But you have to question some of the front office moves, right? Like I said, bringing in Kirk Cousins, um, some of the other personnel's not understanding that some of your needs that you had in the trenches, um, because this team still does have holes. Um, you know, just the fact that you paid Kirk Cousins 180 million dollars, $100 million guaranteed, and you know you couldn't fill some of those other positions because you had that cap number on your books. So, like those are some of the things Arthur Blank's definitely gonna have to weigh in. Um, but do you separate Terry Fontenot from Raheem Morris? That will be the question. You look at some of the moves you have, and like a lot of people saying that I feel like when we started this season, we felt like they had the groceries, right? They had all the groceries they need to be a really good team, and you give all those groceries to the coaching staff, and they're supposed to cook and make something happen. And it doesn't seem like that's the case. The onion back, did we have enough groceries? Did we have the right, groceries that we need to be able to cook? And now when you start to look at what we went through this season, you do see some holes. So the team is incomplete. It's not 100% the way we want it to be. I still think it was a playoff team. I still think it's a talented team. So you do have to give kudos to Terry Fontenot and the front office for being able to put together. However, you know, he has not been to the playoffs his tenure here with this team, right? So that's going to be the question. Um, is he tied to Raheem Morris? And we'll definitely get to see that at the end of this season. That's what we're going to see. John Moreno says, "What's up, Ricondo? Let's hire Kubiak under looking Anthony Richardson or Russell Wilson or the move we need the quarterback next." No, not Anthony Richardson. I do like Russell Wilson for a bridge quarterback. If Michael Penix is is still recuperating, because he definitely probably won't be ready for OTAs, mini camp and things like that. Hopefully, he'll be ready for training camp, but that's still going to be behind the power curve, especially depending on the new coaching staff, playbooks, and things like that. We just don't know right now, right? So, and all this stuff is in the air because of the uncertainty about this Atlanta Falcons regime right now, that's in place. We don't know. We can't talk about personnel moves, quarterbacks, anything like that, because we just don't know who's going to be intact, in that front office, in that coaching, in that with that coaching staff. We just don't know that. So, because that changes everything. If you get coaches that like to run certain defenses, certain offenses, they want certain kind of players, right? You don't know if the coach will, if they really believe in Michael Penix. So much stuff to think about when you start talking about a new coach coming in, new general manager coming in. So that's really going to determine a lot of things this offseason based off what Arthur Blank decides to do. Um, People say we have enough for the stew. Cook Cook just forgot to stir Sunday burn. Exactly, and that's what a lot of people thinking. That's why maybe Terry Fontenot is might not get lumped in with Raheem Morris. It's just really what we're going to be looking at. Um, Moreno says Arthur Blank is a businessman. He knows if he keeps Morris, he will have a lot of empty seats next year. So Morris is good as gone. I do agree with that. I think the the writing's on the wall for Raheem Morris. It's just got to be. Um, I think after the Carolina game, I think that was it. It was a done deal, right? But then to compound it, losing to the Jets and then getting blown out at home to the Seahawks, man, it is not good. I agree with you 100%. It's not good for Raheem Morris. But you know, we just have to see. But guys, let me know what you think about Terry Fontenot. All right, think about all the moves he made. Like I said, coming in that first year, the first 2 years up under Terry Fontenot, it was really. I know they wanted to say it was a retool, but I think it was more of a rebuild. The problem was they never had a quarterback in tow those first 2 years, and then they got rid of the only quarterback we had. So is it that a fault of their own because they probably should have kept Matt Ryan here until they kind of figured out the quarterback situation. Probably would have been best. Drafted a quarterback to sit behind Matt Ryan. He could have tutored him, and been on his tutelage. That could have been great. But they decided to go with Desmond Ritter, Marcus Mariota, or Taylor Heineke. Until last year, they went and spent a lot of money on Kirk Cousins, then doubled down and drafted Michael Penix in the draft. So those first 2 years, you might can give Terry Fontenot a pass, but these last 2 years, um, no, no. So there you have it. There you have it. You can't. You just can't. It's. I mean, if you look at the pieces, and that's why it's so frustrating for us as Falcon fans because we don't feel like we a team that lack talent on this team. That's the issue. We don't. biggest issue for us. Like, you should be better than what your record's showing, and that's just not what we see on the field week in and week out. He was hired. He was hired as a losing coach, remained a losing coach. Sad, had hope. Yep. I'm definitely finna get into Raheem Morris in just a minute. We need someone that knows how to work with quarterbacks. 100%. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Especially if we're gonna keep young Michael Penix, we do need somebody. Um, Ricardo, last game the Falcons players gave up. I didn't see Morris trying to die. I agree. I feel like they gave up after that kickoff return, man. Start the second half, it seemed like they gave up. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. It seemed like they gave up. All right, let's talk about the man of the hour, and that Raheem Morris. So, you know, Kevin just made a good point. Raheem Morris is a losing coach, right? Um, and we all fell for the okie doke. We all did. We all did. Now, I can say this because it's on record. You guys go back and look at my videos. I wanted Bill Belichick, right? I wanted the most winning coach, one of the most winning coach in NFL history. That's what I wanted. I wanted him. I felt like accountability would have been had. Um, his track record speaks for itself. A lot of people are going to contribute Tom Brady to a lot of his success, but at the same time, I just think the discipline as a coach and what he was able to do, his game plans week in and week out, being able to be adaptable, changing to the opponents, things like that, and holding players accountable for what mistakes they made. That's what I felt like this Atlanta Falcons team would have had under a guy like Bill Belichick. However, Atlanta Falcons decided to go with a retread coach, a guy who's has not won a lot um, in this NFL. His first stint with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, his time here as an intern coach, interim coach after Dan Quinn firing, and then coming back here, right? We just have not did enough as a coach. So he's a losing coach, right? He's I think he's ranked now the 28th worst as percentage wise is a losing coach in NFL history, right? 37%. And I saw somebody came out and said that um, tried to use analogies and said guys like Dan Campbell and Kyle Shanahan, their first two seasons they had a worse record than Raheem Morris. So just listen to what I'm saying. A lot of people say that, right? They had a worse record than Raheem Morris. Dan Campbell, right? Looking at a lot the Detroit Lions right now, and how they stand the test of time and they turn it around with Dan Campbell. Kyle Shanahan, the same thing. Um, Kyle Shanahan just been unlucky. He had a lot of injuries. In my opinion, why he's sucked so many times. To start his career with the San Francisco 49ers. I don't feel that way for Raheem Morris. I feel like the injury bug has not hit us the way it hit the San Francisco 49ers. And I think when Raheem Morris took over this team, it was in a better shape than when a guy like Dan Campbell took over the Detroit Lions. I just believe that. So, trying to use that analogy between, or a Kyle Shanahan and the Dan Campbell just won't sit well for me. Um, Now Arthur Blank used it before he decided, to cut bait with these guys, and that's definitely could be, a way to look at it. I get it, could get 3 years, but I think John hit it on the head. The problem is that the fan base is just out on Raheem Morris completely. I don't think it's nothing he could do um, to win them back. I don't think I just don't see. I mean, we already eliminated from the playoffs, so like these last games we don't care anymore. Doesn't matter about draft seeding, right? Because we don't have our first round pick anyway. So it's like, what's the purpose for us to be excited about these last 5 games, last 4 games? I remember the games they got left, right? We just don't care, man. I'm just be honest with you. Um, this was like the first year in the many years that Atlanta Falcons have been already knocked out of the playoffs this early. Other years, could be slim to none, but we still have opportunity, playing into December, maybe making the postseason, wild card or division or something like that. This year we're completely eliminated, and we still got games left. So this is it's not good. And then some of the things that's been killing the Falcons has not improved. Right, third down on offense is still bad. It's still bad. Right, there's no other way to look at it. Special team is atrocious. Right, it's just so he has not given given the Atlanta Falcon fan base any reason for us to be like he can turn this thing around, right? Um, and you can say personnel, but we all felt like this team talented enough to win games. So it seemed like I think John hit it. I think they quitting on the coach. I think they're quitting on the coach. And we're going to talk about the wide receiver room right now, and the report we're coming out about the way the players feel about Raheem Morris too. So, of course, it's hearsay. People putting out rumors. We don't know 100% that's the case, but we do know that where smoke there's fire, right? So it is what it is. But Raheem Morris, um, take a line from the Arrow. Raheem Morris have failed this city. He has failed this city, man. He got to go. He got to go. We ain't gonna do like the Green Arrow and kill him, but his coaching career as a head coach is dead. Like it just got it's like if they decide to bring him back, I just don't. I don't know how Arthur Blank can justify that. Now he could he could say give him a mandate that you got to replace your special teams coordinator, you got to replace your offensive coordinator, and if you do that, you can come back. Right? It could give him that mandate, but then when you think about it, guys, Raheem Morris had fired a defensive coordinator. I mean, had to fire his offensive coordinator. He had to be able to fire his special teams coordinator. I mean, he fired every last one of his of his coaches, you know, and that would not be a good look for him as a head coach. So I just don't think he made a good CEO, man. Right? And be honest with you, I kind of like what the defense did this year. It, some has been piss poor, but for the most part, I mean, you look at one of our issues we had for so many years. That's pass rush, and that has not been an issue this year, right? That means, and that's the first year in the defense. So you look at it. So we're looking at the glass half full, looking at defense. First year in defense, the pass rush been outstanding, right? You get somebody to plug up that middle in that run game. You tighten up the secondary, get the second corner in, get some more depth in the linebacker room. Defense might be pretty good, right? So that's the way to look at it. But I don't think that's going to be enough, man. I just don't think it's going. I just think that there's too many wounds open from this fan base looking at this season, and no adjustments been made. And the thing that's been egging us, since week 3 is still the same issues we got today, and no changes has been made. He's been bullheaded about not making changes and things like that, except the changes that we don't understand, right? Um, so I think Raheem Morris is out. I think he did a really bad job. He's supposed to be a motivator to galvanize his team. Does not seem like he hit the mark on that spot. Um, these guys have not improved in the issues that's been egging his team all year. Um, situation of football has been shaky. His 2 years here anyway. Um, special teams been terrible. So I would it would just be impossible to see that Arthur Blank would justify bringing him back. Never say never. I'm not saying that he's going, but I do agree with John. I think it will hurt, the people in the stands. I don't think people would show up. I really don't believe that. I hear Falcons fan forever said it messed up. He let down as a coach and hire. Yep, he did, man. It's no other way around it. I thought he would have been better. He sucks as a head coach. We wanted him to succeed, man. Like I said, as a person, you like the guy. So you wanted him to succeed. In his second term, he had to wait so many years, to get another opportunity. And then, it's a clip going around where, Deion Sanders is I think on NFL Network, and he's saying that the players have quit on Raheem Morris. It seemed like history repeated itself because it seemed like they definitely quit on him. I wouldn't mind getting Mike McCarthy. I don't want Mike McCarthy personally, not me. Dan Campbell hasn't even sniffed a Super Bowl, but Kyle Shanahan did, but didn't win it yet. Yep, Dan Campbell, you're right. But if you look at the Lions now, though, they're a playoff team every year. I mean, what you want as in NFL, because you're not gonna win it every year, but you want to be able to get in a tournament to get yourself opportunity. The Falcons ain't sniffed the playoffs since 2017, so you know that's what we can say. I'll take Kyle Shanahan over Raheem Morris most definitely. Um, yeah, we lost faith in yes the fans. Yes, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. Um, I think we hadn't lost the same way for every loss, bad coaching, undisciplined team. He might have gotten some leeway. Right. And that's my point, Kevin. It's the same. We losing the same way. Like can't do nothing on. Like I said on third down. Special teams, it's just bad. Can't stop the run. Like the offense looks so hard. Like no matter who's in there quarterbacking, it has not been really a good season for us. Right. Aside from like a couple of games. I mean, think about it. We lost a game where our running back went for over 200 yards with the Jets, and we lost that game. I think Mike McCarthy will be like Andy Reid here if he comes to Atlanta. Man, I just don't know if Mike McCarthy hold people accountable. Now we can't say maybe with Jerry Jones it's kind of hard to do that. With the Dallas Cowboys because Jerry Jones will run everything. So, but I don't know if we want to just keep retrading coaches that lose and bring them in. Um, John says, Racondo, for the last 5 years I've been wanting QB at father son. Yeah. Now let's. I agree with John. He has been preaching Kubiak to come in, right? And maybe they should give him opportunity, right? He's with the Seattle Seahawks. Bring his son in and let's get this thing running. Well, we know that I think the quarterback. I mean, the offense will be a competent offense. I do believe that if they decide to go down that route. Um, Said Morris suck. Yep. Let's see here. I try to keep hope, but this comment sucks, and I'm not being disciplined to the team when they fall isn't good. Yeah, man. The thing about Raheem Morris is he say the same thing every week. Like that's who his name is, Mister. We got to find a way, right, dude? Like make some changes. Like the insanity of doing the same thing over and over again. Like you keep going out there thinking you're gonna you're not getting better. So whatever you're doing is not working. Like that's what we don't understand. That's why as fans we just baffled by decision making because you keep doing the same thing over and over. And the crap ain't working, man. Arthur Smith and Raheem Morris are not head coaching material. Most definitely. Hughes and Alford need to go. Yeah, they need to boost up their secondary. Somebody did a mock draft and they had to have the Los Angeles Rams, you know, with the ninth pick right now for Atlanta Falcons, taking a cornerback at number 9. That would have been our pick, but that's why you think go back to my first talk about Terry Fontenot. That's a big deal, man. But Raheem Morris said we wouldn't be in this situation, to be picking in the top 10. So yeah, Arthur Smith, yeah, he gonna get Mike Tomlin fired. I agree. there's a coach say we just got to find a way to win. I know, man. That's all he said. We need to find a way. We need to find a way. Pepper say, I just wouldn't want John Gruden sorry ass. Yeah, retread. That's another retread coach, man. I think I'm getting on the bandwagon with John, man. Let's go get Kubiak. Um, I would lose respect for the Falcons if they bring in John Gruden here as a head coach. I'll take him as OC though. He can't make my head coach and quarterback to play. Yeah, there you go. Maybe that's who Raheem Morris should have went and got. He worked with him. He should have went and made him OC. Why you wouldn't want Mark McCarthy, man? Because man, last time he was a winner is in Green Bay, right? But like he was. I don't know how good the coach is because in Dallas you can't really be yourself. You got to know that's Jerry Jones' team. He tried to run everything. So um, for me, I just look at the last stint in Green Bay, where they did win a Super Bowl there. So he's a Super Bowl winning coach. At least you can say he's a winning coach. I can't say that, but I would be skeptical about the hire. Honestly, I would be. He needs to find a way out of Atlanta. Yeah, we're gonna see what he do tomorrow. You notice I haven't even talked about a Tampa Bay game because I don't care. Don't care, and I can care less about who wins that game tomorrow. I'm rooting for the Falcons, but I mean, what it's going to do? It don't matter. Like, if we lose, we just get a Rams a higher draft pick. If we win, what does that do? It don't help us out none. So I guess we can spoil Tampa Bay from going to the playoffs. I don't know. I didn't really want our Falcons to finally bring a Super Bowl home, and we will all celebrate. Yes, man. That's what it's all about. That's why we still here. That's the only reason we still here as fans, because one day we believe it's going to happen. It was Jerry Jones being his daddy messing him. That's what I'm saying. So that's why. That's the only thing about Mark McCarthy. I don't know his coaching because of Jerry Jones. So, but we'll definitely get to see what Arthur Blank to do. But yeah, guys, I think Raheem Morris is out. I really do think he's out the door, and because I don't know what positive trait you can say, that got Raheem Morris. Yes, that's why we won. I don't know what you can say to like this. What positive? Give me a positive thing for the reason why they should keep Raheem Morris on as a head coach. It's none. So I mean, we can do, like I said, I can do bad all by myself. This is what it feels like. So yeah, man, he's out the door. One of the reasons he's out the door because what is going on in the wide receiver room, right? So I don't know if you guys seen it. It was a post from Ray McLeod, um, and it was a fairly lengthy post. But at the end, the post said that what's the name was not the reason why performance was not the reason he got cut. Performance. Now that's the bunch of crap that Raheem Morris gave us, talking about the reason why because of his performance. Now we got to remember last year Ray McLeod had a career year catching the ball as the third receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. Last year had a career year. It went downhill after Raheem Morris used Ike Hilliard as a scapegoat after the Carolina Panthers game. Let's just put in perspective, right? Ever since then, look at the receiver room, right? So many issues with the receiver room, questionable, inactive, making guys inactive, and Casey Washington. What happened to him? He was really bright spot for us in the training camp, right? Cardell Hodge had an inactive, right? Another guy that won for us in overtime game last year on the prime time game, right? Just some of the things that when we look at what Raheem Morris did, especially just the receiver room, and then if you look at the you know, the performance of the receiver room, it's been bad other than Drake London, right? Other than Drake London, everybody else has been not good this year. It has not been good. Darnell Mooney fell off the face of the, just fell off the face of the earth. Like I said, we don't know what's happened to Casey Washington. We haven't seen Chris Blair, and if it's a post out there from Cardell Hodge saying people must forgot, but then you see that that Chris Blair come back and post we ain't forgot, right? He tells me he ain't forgot, and it's a rumor out there. I haven't seen it, so I don't want to say it's true. That Michael Penix like Ray Ray McLeod post. So it's issues, guys. It's really issues with Raheem Morris and his unquestionable decisions with the wide receiver core. Is just don't make any sense at all, right? After 3 weeks, you get rid of Ike here, you get rid of Ray Ray McLeod. You make the guys that was productive, for you last year inactive, bringing guys that we have not seen play a lot with these Atlanta Falcons. Like David Seals, Hopkins. We haven't seen these guys play. I mean, yeah, other guys on there. I would think you want to see, what they got for them, got for us, right? Like so, it don't make any sense. The receiving room is bad, right? And then all these cryptic, you know, posts, on X coming out. It's not a good look for Raheem Morris at all. And it goes to the other rumor that's being saying that the players don't lost faith in Raheem Morris, and he feel like he throwing those guys under the bus, right? So that's another rumor is going out. So it kind of ties in what we're seeing from the just receiver room, and then maybe what other players around the team is feeling, right? Throwing the special guys on special teams under the bus, right? They're not filling their gaps, like the coaches coaching right, like the coaches can't do no wrong, but the players at fault, like, and it's some truth in that in some instances, but like you the head coach, you got to fix it, and it's no accountability. I don't see no changes they made on kickoff coverage. I haven't seen any changes, so it seems like they doing the same thing over and over. So somebody just need to tell me what's going on in this receiver room, right? And it all been downhill since the firing Ike Hilliard. The play of the receivers been downhill, like I said, except for Drake London. Um, he was on a trajectory to have a career year. Um, we don't know. I don't think his status for tomorrow is probably out. I haven't looked at the injury report. I know he did not participate in practice yesterday. Probably will not play tomorrow as well. So, but what is going on in the receiver room, guys? That's the question. What is going on in the Atlanta Falcons receiver room? All these cryptic posts, you know, Ray Ray confirming that it wasn't performance based, right? So I wish we could get to the truth of what really happened in that. I just want to know what really happened um, in the whole Ike Hilliard, Ray Ray McLeod saga. The reason why you start to sit your other receivers out of games that's been playing, you know, third and fourth string for you in training camp all through the summer, and then all of a sudden you make those guys inactive. I just don't understand it. I just don't. So it's weird, and this is another reason why Raheem probably gone, because players start to send out cryptic tweets, and guys are liking it and co-signing the tweets that they sending out. Right, that's not a good look for your team. Right, first of all, it create distractions, but obviously some of the teammates probably must have feel the same way Ray Ray feels, or Cardell Hodge feel, or Chris Blair feels, because they're co-signing what these guys are putting out on social media. So it's not a good look at all, guys. And we know for a fact that I hear it was a scapegoat, because what changed? I can honestly say I feel like the receiver room got worse after I hear you left instead of better, right? So what is going on in the receiver room? we'll probably never get a definite answer unless one of the players come out and tell us, right? Maybe Ray Raven Cloud, uh, do a podcast or something and tell us what really went down. We'll never know. But until then, we got to speculate, guys. We got to speculate. Like I said, I was happy with Morris. But these sorry ass coaches here are not disciplined coaches and players, and he didn't find a way to win. Nope. Apparently, none of them know how to catch. Oh yeah, the receivers. Because like I said, that they don't have. I don't even know these receivers they got in there. That's what confusing to me. Like, who in the hell is Hopkins? I didn't even know who Hopkins was on our team until I seen him make a play. I was like, who is that? And then David Seals, how he emerged to be one of the number two or something crap. It don't make no sense. Like, it's just crazy, man. He's just showing he's collecting the paycheck 100%. John says, we had a time in Atlanta. We need a good coach that doesn't take bullshit from his players, blast their ass on the field when they screw up. Exactly. Accountability, man. Accountability. We don't see accountability. And maybe he do it behind the scenes, but that ain't good enough because it ain't working. Whatever he doing is not working. I feel like we beat the Saints twice. That may say receive. I mean, he beat the Saints twice. That just make us happy because we like to see them lose. That's all that does. We beat them twice. That just make us happy, but it ain't gonna say his job. Yes, that's why I would want Mike McCarthy or Bill Belichick get Todd Monken or Matt LaFleur. If you release him from the team, yeah. If any of those guys, all those guys like all those guys for either coordinators or head coaches, I agree with you on that. He said, "What y'all want John Harbaugh as a head coach?" I don't know what he's good at, man. Like, I think he's a good coach, but I mean, he was a special team coach. Before he became head coach. Now he's one of the most 10-year coaches, and the team's been good. But I mean, they put a lot of talent around John Harbaugh, so I don't know how good of a coach he really is. I'm just gonna say that. It's some crazy Falcon fans suggesting we should get Kirby Smart as a head coach. I know he wouldn't. Yeah, he'd never leave Georgia. He'll dog, man. It's not gonna happen. But I can tell you what, he ain't gonna take no bullshit from them. From them. And it's different between college and pros. But we know Kirby Smart. He don't take no ass. The next home game is December 29th. Arthur Blank will see how much money he's losing. That's really, yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. That's a good point. 500, I will say no to John Harbaugh since he lost Kubiak. He hasn't made the playoffs. Yeah, Kubiak. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure about John Harbaugh. All right, guys. Last topic of the night. Is a rebuild the only way to fix this? So I just want to end it with this comment here and this question for you guys: is a rebuild, is that the only way we can actually fix um, the woes the Falcons got? And I'm going to put my answer to it. My opinion, I would say no. I don't think they'll rebuild. I think I agree with John. I think it's enough talent on this team. It is a question mark with the quarterback position. We don't know about that, particular position right now. But I would say build around that, right? I think the first thing you need to do is clear some cap space. You got to release Kirk Cousins, let him go his merry way. He's not the future. That has to be done. Even if you don't know the what's going on with Michael Penix, I still think they need to go ahead and cut bait with Kirk Cousins, right? They need the trenches, start in the trenches, especially on the defensive front. They need to, find the pieces in there, right? Then they need to go to the secondary, build some holes in the secondary, right? I think if they do that, That's working the team. That's from a team standpoint. Now you have to put a good CEO in place to make sure all those pieces work together. That's what needs to happen. That's with my opinion. So I don't think it's a rebuild necessary. I know a lot of people say go ahead and trade some of your best stars and stuff like that. I don't think you need to do that, right? I think you have the pieces. Quarterback's still a question because we don't know about that position, but you just build the pieces around, your quarterback position, and you can bring in a guy like Russell Wilson, maybe even a Jameis Winston, man, to be the bridge for a guy. Atlanta Falcons don't have a first round pick this year, so not saying you're gonna get a quarterback from the draft. What you're hoping, and I think we are hoping that Michael Penix will come back and he can actually, be that guy for us. Despite injury history and things like that, maybe he can come back and have a long career for these Atlanta Falcons. And we got already got our guy in house. That just pretty much the way our goes. But I don't feel like it's a rebuild necessary. Now, somebody mentioned cleaning house. Um, we talked about Terry and Raheem. At the start of the show. I don't group those guys together. I think they're separate in its own. Um, because I think the analogy you used about the grocery. I think Terry gave Raheem enough groceries to cook a really good meal, and he he left it raw, man. he must have lost some ingredients. Um, Somebody came in and stole some of the groceries. I don't know what happened, but he didn't it didn't pan out right. So I don't think they should be linked in together. But I could understand it because, like I said, Terry ain't won since he been here. So if Arthur wants to link those guys together, especially you look at the decisions that they had together, doubling down on quarterback position, trading back into the first round this year. Even though I think it worked out well for the Atlanta Falcons, right? Not so much where that pick is going to land because it's going to be a high pick. We don't like that, but I still think James Pierce Jr. was a worth that coming back into the draft because the way he has been performing for us. The way he's on the tear now, he could be defensive rookie of the year, right? I haven't looked at all the other defensive players out there, but right now got 6 sacks on the season. Couple of games left. Had a sack in every game he's played the last 5 or 6 games. So you love to see that from a guy that you came back to the first round and drafted, and it pays off that he's producing for you, right? You don't like where status of the pick because of you know piss poor play from a team standpoint, but you do feel like um, you just got your first round pick last year, this year. I mean, this year for last year. That's when you got it. So that's what we'll see what happens. And this internet been acting bad all night, but I think you need to definitely consider making those moves that you need to make. You need a new CEO come in. That's one of the things you definitely need to do. Um, and then from that point on, you can actually try to build from there. All right, let's go look at these last comments. He says, "Would you take Kevin Stefanski as a head coach if he's fired from the Browns?" He's a two-time coach of the year. Two-time coach of the year. I can't say that, man, but I don't know. His offense has not been that good, and he's an offensive guy. So I don't know. I don't know how good he is with quarterbacks either. So probably not. I hope Michael Penny Jr. come back healthy, but we have to have other quarterback three who hasn't had a chance to play. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to get a quarterback. But be honest with you, this draft is not that deep at quarterback position, so Maybe the Cleveland Browns are draft a quarterback because they got 2 first-round picks, and then they'll trade Shador Sanders. I know somebody was asking about that last time. Yeah, we had Easton Stick. I hope he get a chance to come in. And you got don't forget about Trash too. We got him as well. So we'll see who come in. Both of these guys. What's going on, man? Well, guys, definitely want to hear your opinions on the rebuild. Let me know what you think about that. T. Terry says Raheem should go back to New Jersey to the Pee Wee League. Said Kevin Stefanski has worked with Kirk Cousins before. Yeah, Kirk gonna be gone though. We're not keeping Kirk. We need that money, man. He got $10 million left guaranteed money. We need to recoup some money because we got to build his team around Kirk Cousins. Old, he's not the future. We're not, and right at this point, I don't think the Atlanta Falcons need to be trying to play for like the right now. Like when I mean by the right now, it's like just trying to win for 2026, right? No, right? They need to look for the future and build from there. That's why you want your young quarterback to see what he got all about. And but if he's not ready, I think you bring in a bridge quarterback till he does get ready. That's what I think they should do. But I think Kirk Cousins need to be out of here because that's just too much money. We don't need to pay him no more out there. This last $10 million we owe him. It's not like he's lighting up or anything right now either. So um, that's why I say that's why I say what I say. But there you have it, guys. Um, can they run it back this year? That's the question, right? Do you lump Raheem Mars and Terry Fontenot together, and a lot of people want to clean the whole house? The problem I think a lot of people have is too is Rich McKay. Is he's the puppet master, in Arthur Blank's ear, telling him what we need to hear. We don't know. We just don't know. So um, that's one of the things we got to see when you clean house. Some people thought that he should sell the team. I don't think that it's that drastic. I think he cares about his team, and I think Arthur Blank probably his biggest flaw that he has had is hiring coaches. Is he's a more personal guy than to when it comes to hiring coaches than his business acumen, because of course we know he's a successful businessman, but I think what's hurt him the most is that when it comes to coaches, he's more personal, right? He likes the guys, and because he really liked Raheem Morris, and definitely sure probably why he gave him opportunity, um, and that's why he has never really hired a winning coach. He has never really hired a winning coach. Think about that, guys. Now we had some guys win. Think Mike Smith won like 60, 63, 66 games. I can't remember head. Dan Quinn won like 43 games. Raheem Morris sniffed nothing. He 33-56, I think, over his coaching career. You include Tampa Bay. I think that's like 37%, something like that. So he's not the answer, man. He is not the answer. Terry says Kurt looked like an old man in a rocking chair. Yeah, Kurt need to go. Sell the team to Matty Ice. There you go. Man, I wish Matty Ice come back and be our quarterback coach or something, man. We listen to him. He is so detailed in what offenses need to be ready to go for the week. And I'm just curious if all, because we seen clips of Matt Ryan talking to his teammates, getting them guys ready, things like that. I don't know if we got that kind of top 3 pick on our team kind of quarterback kind of thing going in on us. I don't know if we got that. So I wish he'd come back and be our quarterback coach. That would be awesome. John says, if I was blank, I would tell Morris to play my second and third string players and save my value players for the next year. We don't have anything playing for. Yeah, we don't. That's the biggest issue. Like What are they playing for, man? I know some guys play for contracts, right? We do know some guys out there playing for contracts. But I think if anything needs to happen, these last games, is that it's development of our young players, right? Our draft picks. Um, I think you need to take a look at some of the other guys you got on the practice squad, elevate those guys to come in and play. Um, so I do agree with that. But there you have it, guys. Give me your thoughts, right? Give me your thoughts on should the Atlanta Falcons run this thing back. I say no. However, I believe that Terry Fontenot should have more consideration of coming back, vice Raheem. I think Raheem is done. I think um, just made too many mistakes as a head coach, starting with his hires, you know, and then some of the moves he have made since he's been hired. Scapegoat, I hear you. Get rid of Ray McLeod. Um, his unwillingness to make changes on offense and special teams, that stuff that continue to be issues for this Atlanta Falcon team, and you don't make changes. I think that's really really not a good thing for this team. So um, T Terry says Drake is not trying to get hurt. Yeah, Drake. I don't think Drake come back this year. To be honest with you, you don't need to. But that's why I say I think you should give other guys opportunity to come in and play. It'd be a waste of time to bring Drake back. I think he earned his contract though. I think they need to really think about going ahead and locking him up long term. I do believe they should do that. All right, guys. There you have it, guys. Please like and share this video out to the other Falcon fans out there, and I definitely want to hear from them as well. Give me their opinion on what we think the Atlanta Falcons should do. Um, Tear it all down, clean house, start all over, or just get rid of the coaching staff, which I think that's a must. To be honest with you, and let's see where we go from there. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.